Hello, I'm gonna pick up where I left yesterday. Just to recap, it runs one animation when I click and then it stops. This parrot. This disappeared to get some more screen real estate. Alright, now what I'm gonna do first, if I look at my properties here, you could add some keywords. This is not so efficient if you have properties which have default values. Should have non-atomic, because non-atomic means the setter and getter won't generate locking mechanisms for multi-threading, because all drawing is done in the main thread, so it doesn't need to be thread safe. And instead of just animate once, I'm gonna create another property. I'm gonna make that non-atomic too, and it's a boolean. And what can I call it? In flight. So it's gonna initiate default to no, so now I can set it to yes. And when? Well, I set it to yes here. And this animation, I'm gonna move the animation to the update, and I'm gonna update that later. But here in the touches began, I'm just gonna set the boolean self.inFlight. Yes. And we need one touches ended too. Touches ended. And there, as you might imagine, just set inFlight to no. And then in this update method, look at inFlight. Create another boolean here that checks if it's currently animating or not. Is animating. And since this parrot only has one action, I can just check if it has any actions at all. It's with this has actions method. So then I can look, and then I can look at this boolean property self.inFlight. No, in flight. Alright. Then it should animate. Okay, but it should not just restart it. This is called like 60 times per second. It should not restart the animation 60 times per second. So it must check if it's currently is animating. So if it's animating. No, if it's not animating, it means the animation has finished. Then start another animation. Like that. Else, that means it's not in flight. Then stop the animation if it's currently animating. Alright, if is animating, remove the animation. We can just remove all actions, because there's only one action, and that's the animation action. Well, while I'm at it, I can break out all this stuff into create scene contents. Instead of all that, I just create one self, create scene contents method. And then move all this into that method. Right, now I need to create this method. It's not so smart so it could guess what I'm trying to write. Create scene contents, like that. And then just paste the code. So that makes this init method a little bit cleaner. And I can insert some comments. First, create the background color. And then we create what? The parrot. And then do what? We could break out the parrot thing to last, maybe. This is actually the parrot animation. Here we create the parrot. No. It could be everything there, but we can add a comment there. instead just writing self.parrot multiple times here, could create an SK sprite node. It's temporary. Equals this, and then write parrot here instead, because I'm gonna add more stuff here soon, very soon. And then just add the parrot and create a line to save the parrot in properties. Just a temporary parrot here, like that. And since Xcode does reference counting, it's just gonna know when when this is needed and when it's not. Let's see if this runs. Nope. Oh yes, it runs. And when I release it, it stops animating. But it animates a little bit too slowly for my taste. Just gonna speed this up here. 0.1 instead. And run. Right, so now it should only animate. Yeah, it only animates when I press, and when I release, it stops instantly. Great. Little bird. I'm gonna change the background color to just black. I think you can write. It's a class method to SK color, just black color. This returns, creates a new black color. Alright, let's see if it worked. The black color background. Yeah, it worked too. Great. And now I want to add some physics. And it's actually not so hard to add physics. Just here, where maybe after I created a parrot, here I can add physics. Parrot, it already has a physics body that's built into the Sprite Kit engine. So I just create a new, SK physics body. SK physics body. And okay, it suggests to use a circle. You can use a rectangle or something, but I'm gonna use a circle. Divided by 2, the width of the sprite divided by 2. So the bounding body of this parrot is gonna be a circle. Okay, and just turn it on. Default it's off. This dynamic property, but if you set dynamic to yes, it's gonna do physics calculations on the parrot. And that's all that is to it. Let's see what happens. Oh, it fell off the screen because it had nothing to collide with. So let's add something that the parrot can collide with. Just do it in the background, and if you look in the documentation for Sprite Kit, you can see just 2 lines. Scale mode. Scene scale mode. Okay, the body to aspect ratio or something. And then self, in this case, it's the scene. So I'm gonna add a physics body to the scene, which is just a border around it. Physics body with edge loop from rect. And this rect, what it's gonna be, it's actually self.frame. So this just adds a physics body around the whole scene, which physics objects which has dynamic property set to yes can collide with. Let's try it. Yeah, it collided with the edge of the scene. And you could experiment here with changing the properties, physics properties of the physics body. For instance, this restitution, it means the bounciness. If I set this to a little bit higher, 0.9, it means it almost bounces as high, like a rubber ball. Let's see. Doing, 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 doing. And if I want to add some force, lift force, when it's flapping its wings, I can apply physics force, and a good place to do that would be, I think, here in the update method. This is called for each frame. Alright, and I'm only gonna add it if it's currently animating. So how was the syntax for this? Parrot dot physics body apply force. Okay, no, not angular impulse. You can apply, yeah, this. Okay, just call this CG vector make. I'm gonna 0 in the X direction, and in the Y direction let's make it 1000, because I think default is 1G, which is like 981 Newton, what's it, Newton meters per second square or something like that, but 1000 is a little bit more than 1G in the opposite direction. And that should be all there is to it. Now when I click the mouse in the simulator, it should apply this force upwards, which should eliminate the gravity. And it does. And I release it, the gravity comes in again. Ah! Okay, it bounces through the top of the screen too. So here is the beginning of a game. You can add scrolling, maybe rotate this around a bit like that. Alright, and then okay, now the physics bounds are wrong, but if I would make it a little bit smaller, and then you could add things come scrolling in here, which the bird must avoid, or else it gets hit. That's the basics of a game with Sprite Kit.